I know that most of you are here for sewing content, but if you're anything like me, you're kind of DIY obsessed with everything. So I thought, why not sit down and talk about some of my favorite knitting patterns that I have used over the past year. And a handful of them are free as well. I know we are headed into the summer season, so some of these will be a little bit too warm to wear, but honestly, it takes me so long to get through a knitting project that if I were to start a sweater now, it's possible that it wouldn't even be ready until the fall season. So I actually think this is a perfect time to talk about knitting patterns. I keep a tote that is dedicated to all of my knitting patterns so that I can just grab my bag and go depending on whatever is happening that day. And this is actually the cutest merch from a wedding that I went to in Yosemite. And it says, with you in the valleys, with you in the peaks, and then the date that they got married. And I just thought this was like such cute, chic wedding merch. And it comes with this little cute little gingham strap. Anyway, I use it all the time. I do keep my circular adjustable knitting needles on hand with a crochet hook, any little tapestry needles, as well as my scissors in here. And everything is just nice and organized. Once I got these, I think it's Chiagu, is that how you say it? Once I got these knitting needles, I have not touched a pair of straight knitting needles since I got this set. I knit everything on here, whether I'm working in the round or flat. And I also feel like I got a lot better at knitting once I switched to metal needles over bamboo needles. The bamboo needles aren't as slippery, so I feel like they're better for beginners, but everything just feels so much better knitting on these. So I was really happy. They do come with all the adjustable cables, and I will just never forget how excited the ladies at the yarn store were when I came in looking for this. They did tell me it would change my life, and they were right. So with all that said, let's start with the knitting pattern that I am working on right now. It is not done, but I am using this beautiful blue yarn, and this is from Hobbii yarn. That is with 2 B's and 2 I's. I had never worked with their yarn before. I saw my friend Alyssa post about them on her stories, and she's really into knitting and very talented, and so I figured I would give this a go. And I am making the Maggie Vest right now by Petite Knits. This is the Maggie Vest, and I am currently working on the binding, and it looks kind of crazy because it's not blocked, but I'm already working on the first button band. I've done a very poor job on casting off on the Italian bind off because I'm not that good at it, but we're gonna persevere, we're gonna truck through it, but I'm really happy with this yarn so far. I really like the color and the quality of it. It's nice and soft. It's not like scratchy. I do have to look up a lot of the names of these knitting patterns because they don't stay in my head the same way that sewing patterns. I don't know why, but my favorite knitted piece that I have ever worked on is this Dreamer Cardigan. And I don't know how to say her name, but I'll obviously include information on this pattern. But this knitting pattern is almost like a knockoff of one of the Cezanne sweaters. I wish I had made this one size up and maybe even in a thicker yarn. And I do wish I would have done the Italian bind off on the bottom band. I didn't, so it's like kind of very tight. But I love this sweater. I will layer it, or sometimes I just button up and wear this as a shirt on its own. And it is in this beautiful half fisherman's rib. And then I also really enjoyed learning how to do these button bands. They're like double-sided, so it looks knit from both sides. It's just, I love this cardigan. I am a beginner knitter, and I did have to start this over like 5 times because I didn't know how to undo, or what is that called, tinking or frogging? I didn't know how to work back when I messed up on the half fisherman's rib. I didn't know how to like get back to wherever, like, oh, I did a knit and I should have done a purl. But once I figured out how to do that, I was finally able to make some progress on this cardigan, and this is my favorite piece. And this is the yarn that I used. It's kind of got this like tubular feel to it, and this is the Drops Air yarn in the colorway Acorn. This is my second favorite knitting pattern that I have worked with. I found it really easy to make up. It has these really fun puff sleeves, and my fiance surprised me with this yarn for my birthday, so it's kind of special in that way. But this yarn is called Fluff, and it is by HipKnitShop. HipKnitShop, and you can buy kits from them. So she had bought me just a kit, and I decided that I only wanted to work with the pink, so I knitted up this super cute pink fluffy blouse. And this is by Knit by Civ, and I think it's the My Puff blouse, but I'll of course put the links to everything and the yarn used in the description. But I love this piece. I think it's super nice to have a knit piece that you can wear when it is not super cold. This is not a super dense sweater, so sometimes I can even feel a breeze through it. So it's not the most comfortable to wear on a warm, sweaty day, but it is a knit piece that I can grab for when it's not too terribly hot out, but I don't have to wait for winter essentially to wear one of my knit projects. This is another sweater that I really love. When we landed in Japan in December of 2023, my fiance had pulled an all-nighter like right before we went and then didn't get any sleep on the flight. So that meant there was a lot of recovery time that needed to happen at the hotel. So the first full day that we were in Japan, I decided that I needed to go to the craft store and get some yarn and some needles so that I could have a project to work on while she was recovering. And I just went onto Google and found a free knitting pattern, and this is what we came up with. It's very oversized and it is knit with 2 strands of yarn. So you don't have to do the same color. If you kind of wanted to have some depth with color, you could use 2 different color yarns. And it is a free knitting pattern that is a collaboration between 2 of Wands and Lionbrand yarn. And this is knitted flat. This is not knitted in the round, but it was a perfect traveling project. I worked on this sweater in Tokyo and in Mount Fiji, as well as Kyoto. So it definitely reminds me of a lot of really good times. And that's what I love about knitting, is that it is a project that can travel with you. You can't just pick up sewing and go anywhere. So that's what I love so much about knitting. I try to always have at least one project on the needles while I am working. And I had never heard of this yarn brand before, but it was the only yarn that they had enough of at the store in the right weight. And this is Men's Club Master. Could not tell you anything else about it because it is all in Japanese, but we were able to find enough of this in matching colors, and I had a project on the trip, which is just feels very special to me. As I mentioned earlier, this sweater was knitted up using a kit from HipKnitShop, which meant that it also came with the same fluff yarn, also in black. So I could not let that yarn go to waste. So what I did was, once again, I went to YouTube and I searched how to knit a top-down cardigan and found a free YouTube video that I could use this yarn. Now, the next 2 knitting projects I don't actually have with me because I just realized that I packed them up because there is something I've been keeping from you guys. We are moving. I do have to wrap up this whole craft room within the next couple weeks, and I haven't talked about it because I don't know how to talk about it because I am definitely sad to be leaving this space, and it's a whole thing. We're super excited, but we are leaving California, we're leaving San Diego, which is just even insane to say. I've never been gone for longer than 3.5 weeks. I've never lived away from my family. This is not like a we hate California move, so I will not accept any California slander in the comment section, but yeah, I guess my next video, I'll have to get more into that. So let me get back on track with the knitting here. But either way, the next 2 projects I don't have in hands, but I will be sure to put some pictures on screen. But what I love is that YouTube has so many free tutorials, and you do need a little bit of experience because they don't always walk you through every step, but I was able to use up all the rest of the yarn. I actually had to order more of this fluff yarn to make this cardigan, which I have worn quite a few times, and I just love how this one turned out. It's kind of got like this loose, oversized feel, so I feel like sometimes I can kind of almost wear it as a shrug and layer it over dresses or whatever. And the last pattern that I'm talking about today is another free knitting pattern, and it is the Silver Spring Tank. And I also just find this a really nice, easy knit to wear during the summer because I do like to pick projects that can work in many different seasons and not just fall and winter. But this was a super easy project to make. If you're looking to go from maybe you've been knitting beanies and you're you're ready to try like a bigger piece of clothing, I think this knitting pattern was definitely easy and could definitely get you some great practice. But I get a lot of wear out of that knitting pattern. So those are the free and paid for knitting patterns that I have absolutely loved. I'm very curious. I want to know what you're working on or where your favorite spot to grab yarn is from online. I would love to know. And if you are someone who is looking to get into knitting, I highly, highly, highly recommend checking out any brand that has a knitting kit that will get you the right size needles, the right size yarn, and then a pattern. I think that is a great way to start a project and to figure out if this is going to be a hobby that is for you, or if it's just so frustrating that you kick it to the curb, which I feel that way about crochet, even though I can knit. So I understand if that is happening to you. So that is it for this vlog. And I guess we should talk about moving in the next one.